Design in Indaba conference is almost like a creative World Cup. We've got the best creative exponents and leaders and thinkers from all around the world at the conference. The whole world's represented.
The branding for the campaign was a little bit of a play on, being World Cup here. The superstars versus the all-stars. The superstars of the South Africans, the all-stars of the internationals who are here for the conference. It was a play on a match, basically, where the South African superstars take on the international all-stars.
Design becomes quite interesting when in some respects it responds to its place, but it also transcends its place.
Where are we going to find the voices to help us understand what design means in our life and how it can have a greater impact on the life around us?
There's a huge amount of handwork in one of these things. We sort of use up to the minute 17th century technology.
We have like 300 pages of things like that, and people could go completely mad making it.
Design Indaba has always been about crazy eclecticism. The kind of people that we pick for Design Indaba are all at the top of the respective professions.
One is doing finance, one is doing research, one is doing design. You see it also happening in society at large.
With this industrial process, we can make something that's so detailed that you can't actually make it by hand anymore.
In the creative fraternity, there's this talk that you must do your best presentation ever. At the Design Indaba, the only part of the theme is that all of us talk about our process. Design Indaba just gives you that stretch.
I had a lot of pleasure to spend days in a black room, which seems to be totally insane if you consider the beauty of this country, but things are happening here.
Greg, welcome to Design Indaba 2010.
I thought I'd walk you through a presentation about how we've gone from first reading the genetic code to learning how to write the genetic code, and part of writing the genetic code is part of new design.
The reason people come to conferences is to make connections with other people. We have a lot of students here. We have a lot of really widely diverse audience in terms of people from all over the world, people in different disciplines.
Our messaging of advancing design and advancing creativity really has fallen on fertile ground in corporate boardrooms, and we make sure that even in the way we market the conference, that it's not just the creative community talking to each other. And 65% of the conference is really creative practitioners and 35% being business.
My only contribution to the whole discussion about design and creativity and innovation has been in the space between the space of connecting design to business and showing business over a decade and a half the power of design.
It was fantastic to be able to just sit and listen and focus on the other speakers. So in 3 days, I get a kind of workout for the mind. I get a chance to really think about design in terms of East and West, North and South, young and old, and all in one place.
この場を借りてここに呼んでくださった皆さんに感謝。期待以上に素晴らしいと思います。上がってるんだなっていう風に感じます。こんなにいいんです。
So it's really good to have that perspective come here and say, okay, this is what's going on, guys. And I think that's really important for us to become part of the global stage and really know where we are and start interacting globally.
Simulcast, for us, that was our audience. I mean, that's who we were presenting it to, because those are the artists who are the most attuned to the type of messages and subjects that we were talking about.
Tunnel and began to wash all the tunnels.
The simulcast has been very successful. It was sold out this year. We're starting to become a bit of a hub for design education. It's so inspirational for them to be able to listen to the likes of Michael Beirut and Alejandro Aravina. It's just wonderful to be able to have that to share with them.
Their minds are young and they're open and they're spongy and they want to absorb stuff, and it's like they're sitting in a lecture hall with the best possible design minds in the world, and there's nothing more special than that for a young student.
Actually in design it feels like a lot of people just do stuff for themselves. But now with this new movement that's happening, it's not just about us anymore. We realize that design is not just for us, it's for everyone.
I think there's a tendency in design to, especially in design education, to kind of specialize. And you have people studying how to be only a furniture designer, when I think you should study how to be a designer.
There's so many people that are designers and generations of designers, and everyone from Massimo Vignelli, who's here, to young design students.
You have absolutely no idea
where any of your thoughts come from, really.
If we have to live with advertising in a world of commerce, why can't it be better? Which seems to be the theme of the entire conference.
The whole film festival is a very smart idea because it means that it's another way for the conference to be outside this conference hall.
A few years ago when I didn't know where I wanted to study, I wanted to find out about industrial design and nothing was out there. I mean, I think it's great that finally someone actually made a movie about it. So.
I think Design Indaba is a bit different. Design Indaba is more about inspiration. I think people come out to Design Indaba to take the pulse of what the people in the world are doing right now. It's very, very important to be able to capture that.
Because a lot of the work is so solitary that to be able to come together and just kind of share the vibe is the great thing about these conferences.
But for some reason, people here seem to have more fun going to the conference, and it's nice to see young creative people and to get a glimpse of what they do, how they think, how they work. It's really inspiring.
The most amazing thing about having the students here is to take the pulse of the edgiest work.
It shows the world a good sampling of what's happening around the world. And we have people from so many different countries, but in one way we're all unique. But what we're doing is completely different. So I kind of like that about Design Indaba.
I want you to be affected.
I'm loving having the students going beyond the classical silos of product design or architecture and just giving us a much wider palette than we've ever had before.
So our body has this invisible membrane.
There's a different vibe. There's a certain way of wanting to change the world for the better.
It's just something that doesn't exist anyway.
It's not, Design Indaba is not only an event. It's yes, it's a platform, a network, and it can exist outside Cape Town.
All of these ideas and this energy that we derive from this week, we really convert them into projects and going into these other exciting fringe arenas.
I never imagined that I will ever face the challenge of trying to design an organ, but it was really interesting.
Most of these projects aren't ivory tower, blueprinty academic projects. They're very, very real, with very, very real socio-economic impact. To get people to understand the importance of design is to physically do it. It's to build it. We learned that with our 10 by 10 housing project.
That is amazing what you can transform with design like you do here and change information and ideas and take the world a better world for everybody.
Countries like ours, Latin America or South Africa, we're forced to deal with scarcity. I think it's an extremely powerful antidote against arbitrariness, against what's not strictly necessary. And that might eventually completely change the entire approach to design.
That's what happens in this week. You meet, you talk, you share some ideas, and thankfully, we're decisive enough to say, fantastic, that's a great idea, let's do it.
Thank you for giving the musicians of South Africa an opportunity to show how we are applying our creativity to one of the biggest challenges facing South Africa today.
Shout, I believe, will shake the very fabric of South Africa, reaffirming that South Africans are, by majority, inherently good people.
Shout, let it all out. These are the things I can do without.
We couldn't do Design Indaba Expo at the scale we do it if we didn't have this global conference underpinning it. It is inextricably linked in being able to create this glocal event with a global conference and a fiercely local expo.
I can tell you that most French and most Europeans are currently looking at South Africa not only because of the World Cup, but because of what is currently coming out of South Africa.
With the conference happening in tandem, the exhibitors are certainly aware of the caliber of the international speakers, media, etc., who are here.
Oh, I think it is a wonderful way to expose the populace to new and different ideas. And it's kind of admirable and also enticing to somebody like me to come here and see that you have it all in front of you.
combining these talents with industry and making things that are not just craft but have a kind of broader application. There's some lovely stuff. I mean, the very handmade stuff is very, very appealing.
What's happening every year is a more sophisticated interpretation of what it is to be South African and what it is to be a designer in this country.
The beauty of this event is that you have the Haldane Martyrs, the established kind of names, getting better known, and their businesses have expanded.
I've set my business up that my product development cycle ends with a product launch at Design Indaba every year.
The wonderful thing about the Design Indaba is we're not pigeonholed, and anything that's linked to creativity qualifies.
It's extremely important. I think you cannot think design without bringing fashion design into the picture. And it's become a platform for fashion designers in South Africa to show their work to international buyers and media. This is where you want to be.
South Africans are becoming a lot more authentic. We're realizing that we've got a lot in our home ground and we're wanting to express that instead of doing a top brand ripoff. We're still innovating, and luckily enough, we still want to grow.
In 2009, we did an economic impact assessment, which was done by the Graduate School of Business at UCT. And that concluded that Design Indaba as an event contributed close to 200 million to the South African economy. So it really is having significant economic impact.
When I'm designing interiors or product for any client, I always look for that global hand, that hand-wrought touch, and it's here in abundance.
The customer are becoming more conscious. When they have to spend, they won't buy something that has a meaning also. It's not only an object that they like. So it's this beautiful mix that make interesting the product for them.
When you go to Germany, everything it comes from China, and that's the problem. I bring the very nice new things from Africa, handmade, African design. It's special for the people in Germany. The people like it and they want it.
This is really part of job creation. And I've seen very, very young people here around the stalls. They're doing some very, very good work. And if they get orders, it increases their volumes of work that has to be done, but work that also gets imported to international markets.
Every year we see a growth. I get a lot of people that come here and say, oh yeah, you're here this year, and it's a good thing. Maybe we could work, with you now. So people do recognize us.
Our business itself is at a tipping point, I'd say, as a result of what is happening. Probably 80% of the people who bought from me have never ever seen our product before and have gone mad for it, and it's really accelerated us into another level.
It is important just from a really young age to instill that feeling of creativity equals possibility.
There's so many different categories of design, so yeah, that gives us the hope that there's a career that's deserved.
You have to make something that will sell, and that's only when you will be successful.
This year was quite interesting to see that a young graduate wins the most creative stand.
I think it's actually quite cool because it's all about creativity, not about as much money as you can throw into the kind of production of it.
They're not necessarily the most creative people that come to the emerging creators. They're the people that understand that they have to be able to market themselves and present themselves on a platform like this in order to grow.
We've been able to make context because at the moment we're just selling from our backyard and we've just seen like stands and just things that's just really been inspiring. We're just wowed to be here.
It's great opportunities, first of all, and it gives you a chance to create things for other people to enjoy. I think it's absolutely wonderful that more young people are doing this.
There's definitely an award focus for our exhibitors. On the first evening was the House and Leisure Green Design Awards. There's the most beautiful object in South Africa award.
But one thing that has been amazing is people have literally come up to me at the stand and said to me, I voted for your life. It's given me a whole new faith in design communities.
We try and introduce a conference element into the expo with the international speakers who are here. We do presentations for the exhibitors only, which happened in the mornings before we open. Lee Edelkoot is presenting this year. The exhibitors absolutely love that.
So there is a new society building and you can really feel it every year a little bit more.
Jürgen Bay and the students are running a project going forward where each student will be paired up with an exhibitor to collaborate and come up with a product.
You need to be part of the community. I think it becomes interesting if we are able to work together with the people here.
We had a couple of food workshops at the 7th floor Food Innovation Center where Nils Norren from the French Culinary Institute in New York presented.
I mean, we deal with the same problem, but I think we go about it from different angles maybe. And I think that's just interesting to hear people, you know, how they approach a problem and how they approach innovation and creativity. So.
The conference and the expo provides content for design journalists particularly for a long time.
We look at entrepreneurship, we obviously look at what this is bringing to the economy of our country, and we believe that, you know, our young creatives have got a lot to offer.
The media have just once again embraced it.
With having all the speakers and all the international media together, there's a level of interaction which they don't get in the huge design fairs that maybe happen elsewhere in the world. We really integrated. Everybody's there together. There's something about this context that makes everybody feel a lot less guarded and more embracing of each other.
We're all kind of allowed to sort of mix with the speakers. I mean, allowed, but you know what I mean? But sort of get to meet people informally and talk, and it's really useful from that point of view to kind of get to chat more in a more relaxed way, and it's been great the way that's been set up.
Everyone had a very interesting view. Everyone was different, and it was so comforting, and it's like a food for your heart.
We feel very indulged that they're able to take a week off their rather busy schedules, and we welcome them warmly to Cape Town, and we make sure that they have an absolutely memorable week.
You can completely indulge in making new friendships. It's amazing, really, really amazing.
I came with a specific commission, which is to write a piece about South African design. It's so much more than just design. It's social, it's cultural, it's everything.
One of the greatest things in my life, really one of the best opportunities for coming to Cape Town, particularly the Indaba conference, which I think is the best design conference in the world. And I've seen many, it's unique. I'm happy to be here.
We're really in the moment, enjoying each other's company, and you're almost gorging on it and trying to find the last possible opportunities to do it. And we know that the conference triggers so many things that you just can't leave it there. It needs a proper resolve. It needs that extra 2 days of percolation and discussion as well. And then you feel that you've had a wholesome time.